Hello everybody, and welcome to another video brought to you by me, Jack, V-E-G. Today's topic, today's subject, well, you already seen that in the show notes, the title, Ham Swap Purchases. A favorite of mine, and maybe yours as well. So grab your favorite drink, sit back, and enjoy the show. The reason why you're looking at my workbench as opposed to the bottom of the workbench, where I work, is I've already got some junk laid out. Not because this is how I wanted to present it to you. It's just the fact that that's how it is, because I've been busy playing with some of it, and I thought, well, instead of removing it, showing it, or removing it, bring it back, and showing it, and then remove it again, just save a little bit of work and just leave it all on the workbench. Have a lot of stuff on the workbench, and very excited, very happy with what I bought. And I'm going to save my favorite till the last of the video. And that's right, I bought a frog. That's all I'm going to say, a frog. Very happy to have this frog. So let's go ahead and get the show on the road, shall we? Okay, here is a wide shot of the junk that is currently on my workbench. And when I say junk, I mean some really cool stuff. And then we have my shoulder. This is the widest I can get, so I'm kind of in the way of the camera. First thing we got was this right here. This is a MFJ model number 993 Bravo, and what this is a automatic antenna tuner. This is something that I was looking for, and I'm very happy to have. What this does is it takes a piece of wire or antenna or something, and it tunes it up to make it resonant on the frequency that you want to transmit on. And I bought this exclusively to use on my ICOM 706 that I bought at the last ham swap. However, it can be used on other devices, other radios. Now, ICOM did make a matching antenna tuner, but I wanted to go with something that was usable elsewhere other than just on an ICOM product. And this one will tie into ICOM, Malenko, Kenwood, through an adapter in the back to the radio's adapter, not a problem. But even if you don't have a radio that takes an adapter, and all the adapter does is just where you can push the button on the radio or whatever, and it does it automatically from the control head of the radio. And that's okay. With this one, you really don't need it. You can just leave it in auto. I think it's called AI auto. And then pretty much any transmitter will tune this right up when you change frequencies. And this is really cool. I did forget to mention that this is a 300 watt antenna tuner. So up to 300 watts you should be just fine. I'm not sure how much more above 3 you can go, but there you go. The matching antenna tuner for the ICOM only went to 100, and so we'll be just fine for a while with this one. This is a really, really cool piece of gear. Very happy with this. The guy wanted $200, and tried to get him down to $150. He wouldn't budge, and we ended up with $180, and that's okay. I'm happy. It's still a still a product in production, and but it's also an older product too. I think it's been around for at least 10 years. Next up, we have this really awesome radio. This is a Siltronics 1011 Delta Comanche style, and what this is a 10 meter AM upper lower sideband transceiver that also includes CB receive. However, with a really short, simple modification, it transmits on CB bands. In fact, I do believe it covers something like 26.900 all the way up to 28.5, 29 meg, somewhere up in there. I really haven't tested it on the high end. The guy that I bought this from said that it was not modified, it was unmolested. Unfortunately, I found out that that is not true. And what he meant by that was it was not modified for CB. This was still all ported over for 10 meters, not 11. Unfortunately, it is on 11. I say unfortunately because, well, let's see here. He wanted $40. I talked him down to $30. This radio is in really good, clean condition. I don't even think there's but maybe one little scar on it, scratch, and I think it's on the belly. So I paid $30 for this, plus that signal generator. And what I mean by that? Well, I've never played with such a radio, and trying to figure it out, pushing buttons, pulling knobs, flicking switches, all kinds of things to get it to work. When I first tested it out, I didn't think that it was receiving. Didn't know what I was doing, and didn't know the combination pattern of the controls. So I hooked it up to my signal generator to see if I could get a signal ported into it, and all the way up to 1 volt, peak to peak, couldn't get a signal in there. And all while I'm doing all this stuff, without realizing that when you push the tune control down, it's actually transmitting. So I shoved upwards of 35 watts into the front end of my signal generator, causing causing issues. It don't like that. The generator still functions, it still outputs a signal. I don't have control over it too much. I could use it in the interim until I can get to seeing if I could fix that module. I do have another module I could stick in here and see if it's just the module and not the main frame. Bummed out about that, but it is what it is. Worst case scenario, I have another synthesized signal generator I could put in line. The radio does work. As stated, it blew up my signal generator. Well, as we just saw, the dial light came on for just a minute and then went off. So, okay, I got sound, so I apparently just blew a dial light. Captured that on video. What I found out in the short time that I've had this is if you leave this radio on for, well, I had it on this morning for about 4 hours trying to prep for this video, wanting everything to warm up nice. It worked, and then it stopped working. We'll come back to this in just one moment, because I got this frequency counter right now plugged into my other signal generator, and I need to plug this back into that to demo that just briefly. We've seen this frequency counter before in an earlier video of mine. This is a Pride TF1000, and I do apologize if the audio gets a little soft as I'm moving away from the microphone. One bad thing about having the overhead mic versus a lapel mic. Lapel mic, I can move anywhere and still have great audio. This one, not so great. This is a frequency counter designed for transmitters. You could plug it in, and when you transmit, this will show you the frequency, or when not in transmit, it shows you the time. And that is the current time right there. This frequency counter is very clean condition and in great condition. In fact, it's I think it's a little bit better than my other one. I'd have to pull it off the shelf and compare side by side. I think my other one, I might have a slight crack in the case. I'm not sure. Side by side them and check them out. This one seems to be really sensitive. You gotta be careful, you could hurt its feelings. I like these frequency counters, and I'll keep buying them as often as I can. They have a little cult following. The guy first quoted me $2 for it, and then he said, give me $1. I gave him $2 for it. It was well worth $2 to me. Even if it didn't work, the case looked, it was in good condition, you know. So that is awesome. I have a 10 megahertz frequency into it right now, and we could see that it's just about 2.5 kilohertz off frequency. Nothing major. Give me just a moment. Let me unplug this from the signal generator, connect this back into it, and then we'll sample this briefly, and then we'll move on to the next item. Okay, got it put in line. One other thing I forgot to mention about the antenna tuner is it's good for 160 through 10 meters. The manual says absolutely nothing about 6 meters, but I could tell you this, it does work on 6 meters. So keep that in mind when you go to reach for one of those. Awesome machines. Got these back in line. Let's go ahead and hit the tune button, and if it's working right, we should see a frequency. And there we go. We got a frequency. We even got a little buzzing. I'm getting some stray RF. And so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to adjust for peak performance, because when you get this adjusted for peak performance, it works on both transmit and receive. And it's not happy right now. I'm getting about a half a watt out. This radio does need some help. I noticed when I dork with this PA selector button, as you've seen, the frequency counter here is showing 27.5 megahertz. And that's not really where I'm at, I don't think. No, I'm not. Because if we look at this frequency counter back here, this is the RAT 3000 frequency counter, and I will do a video on that one day. Impressed with that thing. I love the RAT. Everybody say it with me. RAT, RAT, where are you at? That's right there. That's where it's at. This frequency counter here is connected to the IF section of this radio. There is provisions, a jack out back that goes into a matching frequency counter that is for this Siltronics FD 1011 Delta, and I ordered one of those, so that's going to be rolling in shortly, and it's matched to this. So when I get to this, we'll also work on the frequency counter. But I've noticed that some reason, somehow, it is transmitting the 27.510518 frequency. I'm also confirming it here on the antenna tuner. This has a frequency counter in it as well. Tells you what frequency you're on. And so I got all this junk hooked up. I even got the spectrum analyzer hooked up, and I don't know. It works, and then it goes into this weird mode. I mean, it works on frequency and then goes into this weird mode. Peering into the cabinet, it appears that it's all original. I haven't opened it up. One neat thing about this is the screws. They have not been on and off a million times. The paint around the screws are in really, really good condition. So, good promise. Anyway, I went on, babbled a little too long about this, so let's go ahead and move forward into the next grouping of junk. Okay, the next item I got was a Tenma 72-10905. This is a Variac isolation transformer. Weighs about, I don't know, 2 ton, 2 stone. Very heavy. I paid $20 for it. And this one actually works. In my testing, I didn't notice any issue, but we'll know more once we actually put it in line and use it. And actually, I wouldn't mind putting it in line and using it. It's just I don't have a spot right now on my current workbench to put it. It's a little bit fatter than where I currently have my other one. My other one's probably about like so. This is a 3 amp isolation transformer. My other one's only 2.5. So it'd definitely be a big step up improvement for me. It's really a nice device. Oh, let's see. The switch is kind of goofy. We got off over here, on over here. And we have a meter over there, and we're going to dial it up right here. The meter scale is fairly close. So I'm about 20 watts here, give or take. So it's a close representation of where you're at. The feel in the control, you could definitely feel the contact going over the wire bands on the not the transformer, but the isolator, the rheostat. There we go. You can feel that. Maybe you heard that. So about 100 volts on the display, and that's what we're showing there. Red line should mark close to 120. I'm off at an angle, so I'm not seeing it too swell, but looking in the monitor, yeah, we're about 120, and that's where we're at. And it's really nice because we have the button here. I have this also on my other one, so if you want to check your line level, that way you can adjust and get it aligned without a digital meter. You can, or an external meter. And it's got volts and amps. It's basic, but it's cool. It works, does the job. My other one is a Viz WP29 Alpha. I did a video on that many years ago when I got it, one of my early videos. And so if you want to go back and look at it, you can. But what I like about that one, it offers 2 banana jacks. So you can port a external meter into it and have your output all at the same time, or another way of outputting. So it's really nice. I need to calibrate the meter on that one. It's not quite as accurate. So you can see, goes up to about 146, almost 147 volts. Don't really have anything. I could put a load. I guess I could have grabbed a wife's blow dryer or something and put on that, test it out, but it gives all appearance that it's going to work. Let's go ahead and get the next item in line that I also bought from the same guy. Okay, the next item up I got is a MFJ DC power supply. It says it's good for, well, I don't think that's right. It's, I think it's a 13.8 volt power supply. Good for 4 amps. Or, I'm sorry, I guess I should read. 6 amps on this side and 10 amps on this side. We have binding posts over here, cigarette lighter, and spring things over here. Front panel fuse, I like that. I don't like having to dig to the rear to access them, especially if you got them, you know, in cabinetry or buried like I got. And adjustable. So yeah, it goes to about 13 volts. So that's kind of goofy meter. It does have a detent right here, which is probably going to say, you know, or 12 or 13 volts, whatever it is we need. Really nice power supply. It's not quite as heavy as the Variac, but it's still pretty stout. Model number on this, in case I didn't say it, is MFJ-4035MV. And we're going to use this here in just a moment for the next item. I paid $15 for that. I didn't really need another power supply, but at $15, how can you not? It's a nice power supply, it really is. And 10 amps is nothing to scoff at. You could definitely run your CB radio off of that. You could run it off of that side. 10 amps, I think you should probably get about 30 watts or about off of that. So decent little power supply. I sure hope you guys are staying cool. Today it's supposed to get to 105 here. That's pretty good, huh? Okay, so the next item up, we have this radio right here. This is a Heathkit, model number HW202, Hot Water 202. This is a 2-meter FM radio. It is crystal controlled, and this one here is rocking the option of PL tones. Have it connected up to the DC power supply that I just showed you in the last go around. Have it connected to a RF sampler. Ported out to a frequency counter, not just any frequency counter, but the frequency counter, that's right. Say it with me, boys and girls, the RAT 3000. You're going to come to enjoy and love the RAT 3000 as much as I do. I also have the microphone. We're going to demo this real quick. As stated, this is a crystal controlled radio, and actually I'm very excited about this radio, and I cannot wait to get it going. Cannot wait to get my license so I could start jibber jabbering on said radio. This radio was an expensive radio though. Cost me all of that kind of money. Free. I will take free any day. Came with the mobile mounting bracket and a power cable that will need to be redone. Got it plugged into the power supply as I alluded moments ago. This radio, from what I could gather, it works. Might not work proficiently, but it does work. The article on it says that it's good for 10 watts, up to 10 watts. Or I'm sorry, I think it said minimum of 10 watts. I'm only measuring about 5 watts. So I don't know what the Scooby-Doo is on that, if it's just miscalibration or other parts need to be taken care of. I don't know. I could not find a owner's manual, service manual on this, kit manual, whatever you want to call it, for free. And the two websites that I found for a fee wanted $50 or $55 for them. Didn't make sense. Luckily, the day after, one did pop up on the eBays of the world, and they wanted $13 or best offer. I offered $10. They immediately accepted. I immediately paid. Said document is in the process of being shipped to me currently as we speak. I'm really looking forward to this radio. People are afraid of these old vintage radios that have no PL tones because then they can't talk on a repeater. I really don't care about that, but that's just a very simple and easy fix. And when we do a video on this radio, I will go through and I will show you how to make these old radios work on repeaters. Also crystal controlled. Not a lot of crystal manufacturer around these days, but I have found a couple of them. I haven't purchased from either one of them, but one day I may do just that. However, I'm pretty confident that I can get this to work without said crystals regardless. So it's going to be a really cool project, and I'm again looking forward to doing it. So keep your eyeball peeled for said video in the future. So let's shut up, dude, and let's look at something. I've already got it turned on, the squelch. As you hear, this thing is very loud and proud. It is a very healthy radio. I only got it turned up to about right here. It's about a quarter of the way or so. Apparently the knob is a little goofy, so we'll have to fix that when we service the radio. So maybe a little more than halfway. In my local area, one time did I see meter movement. Somebody was throwing a DC. I don't know if they were doing what I was doing, chunking, testing, don't know. But I did see a carrier. Speaking of said carrier, let's take our microphone here. Or do we call, actually I guess it's not a microphone, it's our PTT. So let's take our PTT and PPTT it. And I've got, like I said, RAT 3000 back here. Pay attention to that as well. We do get some meter deflection, reflection, whatever you want to call it, movement. But as you see, not much. It ain't moving much. But as you can see, it is transmitting. These buttons here are, it's weird because you got these buttons here for your receive, these buttons here for your transmit, these buttons here for your PL tones. So you could have your receive here and your offsets over here where it's not your typical 600. You could have, I don't know, 1200 or 20 or whatever it is you want. You could do that in the combinations. Now these buttons over here are in and out, and if you turn it in either position you get a different frequency. I don't quite understand that. I haven't opened this up, but I'm thinking because the manual says that it's 6 channels. I thought it was just 6 channels in total. 3 for receive, 3 for transmit, but it very well could just be 6 transmit, 6 receive, which it would make sense on this. Because if I push this button, take our PTT and PTT it again, you see a different frequency. Let me push out. Try to push out. And there you go. So very jazzed, very cool, very much looking forward. One thing I don't like about this is the mobile mount. You really have to wrench these knobs down tight to get it to not move as much, but it still moves. As you saw, the power supply supports this radio just fine. Again, it's a 5-watt radio, 10 amps, it works. Very happy. Nothing else I could say about this radio in this video at this point in time. We'll save all that for the video on it. So let's go ahead and zippity-doo-dah-day this stuff, and let's flick the new stuff up here. Okay, next up is this ICO 379 sine and square wave generator. It's a audio generator. And I paid $5 for it. This device does work, but it does have issues, and I won't describe the issue because I've already diagnosed it and tested it. I'm saving it for the wife to diagnose and test, but she does know that it does sort of work and has issues. And we'll just leave it at that, so don't ruin it for her. If you know, let her do it. Let's see here, on-offy is this button, missing a cap. Again, look at RAT 3000, and I'm ported into the sine wave side, and let's see if we get a sine wave. Well, I don't think it's tube, I think it's all solid state, but it was working. Alright, so I guess that concludes it on this device. Like I said, we're going to save this for the YL to diagnose and fix. But if nothing else, you got to see the pretty light turn on. And you got to see RAT 3000 again. Trust me, if you're like me, you're not going to get enough of RAT 3000. RAT 3000 again. Everybody say it with me? Awesome. Maybe one day I will explain to you what RAT 3000 is and why. But there's a special meaning behind that. Anyway, onward and awkward to the next contestant. Come on down, because you know the price is going to be right.